Good morning from the Center for Spiritual Living in Tampa Bay. I'm Reverend Laine Morgan, the senior minister of this beautiful, loving community, and I welcome all of you to our virtual connection this morning. You know, I know that people are tuning in from all over Tampa. I know where all of our members live, and so hello into all of your homes. But I know there are also people tuning in from all over the country to hear our message of love and transformation and hope. And I open my heart to each of you and invite you to a space of opening consciousness during our shared experience this morning. As has been the case for the past few weeks, I'm standing here in our virtually near empty sanctuary, but I do have a couple of people here helping me with technology and helping make all of this happen. And this would not happen without their patience and their support and their love. And so I thank them, and I thank them for being here and staying apart from each other. And I thank all of you for being here with us. So here's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to start with an opening prayer, and I invite you to pray with me, and then I'll go ahead and give my message for the morning. And I'll close with another prayer, and then we'll do some announcements and other community updates if you want to stay for that. So let's start this morning the way we always start. And before you close your eyes, I invite you to also look around the room and be in gratitude for everything that supports you, for being in this sacred time for yourself. It's such a gift to give yourself sacred time. So look around at the people and the objects in your room that are supporting you being here. And then when you are ready, take that breath of gratitude and come with me into prayer. And know this with me. What I know is that God is everything. God is in each and every person. God is in each and every object. God is in every situation, every relationship, every circumstance, and every home. And that God is the breath that we breathe. It is the pulse in our veins. It is the love in our hearts. It is the peace that is beyond all understanding in this moment. That is spirit. And so I recognize and lean into that today. And I know that God is always present, all powerful and all knowing in every situation. And I am a part of that. If it's all God, I'm a part of that. And each one listening is a part of that. That holy consciousness is in each one of us. And right now we lean into that. And so I know for us this morning, a morning of inspiration, a morning of light and life and love and community and oneness. I know that for myself, and I know that for each one listening this morning. And so I call our time together sacred and good. And I know that each word that is spoken is needed to be heard, and each moment that is shared is needed to be shared. I know that the technology supports us perfectly this morning in our experience, and that we feel connected and a part of something bigger than ourselves. I'm so thankful. I'm thankful for this community. I'm thankful for this opportunity to share my thoughts with more and more people. I'm thankful for Spirit for guiding me through this, and for holding our community together. Thank you, God. And so with that heart of gratitude, I just release this prayer into the law, knowing that God picks it up and makes it so, and it is the experience of each one to the degree that they align themselves with it. And we affirm together. And so it is. And so it is. So, wow, that was awesome. That felt so good. So here we are, our third Sunday in a row, without our normal shared cups of coffee, and without our hugs and our embraces of encouragement and love, and without our donuts, Randy, and without our music. But what we have is spiritual food, and a clear understanding that we are together no matter what. You know, I read a funny meme online this week that touted the benefits of doing Sunday services like this. So one is that you can go to church in your pajamas. I see you all out there in your pajamas, and your bedhead for that matter. 2 is that you can refill your coffee cup anytime you want to. And 3 is you can mute the minister whenever you like. That's funny. But I don't want you to mute, because I have some thoughts I really do want to share with you this morning. And grab your second cup of coffee if you want to, but come back, because I do have some things I want you to think about today. And so although we can't be in this building together this morning again, I will say that we are going to be doing Facebook Live indefinitely. So those of you who are joining us from wherever you are in the world, don't worry, even after all these restrictions lift, we're going to continue with this format. It might look a little bit different because, quite frankly, the cameras can't be this close to me during a normal service, but our video from last week has been shared and reshared and has reached hundreds of people in the Tampa Bay area, but around the country, and actually I've gotten some messages from around the world. So comment, that's exciting. Tell us where you're listening from. That makes us feel good. After we get all done, I can see all that. But the truth is that people are hungry for a message that addresses whatever is going on in the world from a spiritual perspective. They want that message to be encouraging and informative and inspirational and direct. And that is my ministry. My ministry is to provide just such a message, especially for people who know nothing about our philosophy, who don't know what this symbol is that's beside me, and someday I'll teach on that. But at the same time, providing a strong metaphysical lesson for those well-versed in science of mind and religious science. So what do I want to talk about today? You know, our overall theme for the month of March around the Centers for Spiritual Living around the world was supposed to be about exploring the concept of the divine feminine. We kind of got a bit off topic as we've spent the last 2 weeks, kind of exploring our spiritual experience that we're having in this global pandemic. But today I want to see if I could kind of bridge the gap between those two subjects as we close out the month of March. Last week, I challenged us to really look at how this current experience, this current situation, and figure out how we were going to allow it to change us. I encouraged each and every one of us to spend some time revaluing our lives and allow ourselves to kind of step back into the routine of our days soon in a new way. Once we are unleashed to do so, let's come back into our lives, but let's do it in a renewed way. So I truly hope you've taken that message to heart and you are experiencing your days with greater alignment to your truest self and your deepest held values. One of the values that rings deep in my heart is the value of balance. The value of balance between my sacred masculine energy and my divine feminine energy. I want to practice using the right energy at the right time. Learning how to be directive and assertive when that's necessary in my life, but also aligning with my divine feminine energy and being creative and nurturing when those energies are more appropriate and empowering. And I think our current situation is calling us more deeply into that divine feminine energy that we all have regardless of our gender or our gender expression. If we can allow our divine feminine to rise into strength in this particular time, we can lean into our most intuitive and creative self, which would be awesome to have in this current situation. We can each nurture those around us or nurture ourselves enough so that we go through these days of quiet and stillness. This particular day is asking us to release our need to compete and instead step forward in collaboration and cooperation, those feminine qualities which are available to all of us. Back at the beginning of the month, I taught a lesson on the divine feminine, and I encourage everyone to go back and look at that one in our video library on YouTube and check that lesson out again, because I had no idea when I gave the lesson that we were about to turn a corner and run into this pandemic situation. But if we were paying attention that day, we might be handling this current situation with a little bit more grace. If you're like most people, your emotions are all over the place right now. Allow yourself to listen to and honor those emotions. I reminded you a few weeks ago that a fearful response or a fearful emotion is here to teach you where you don't feel strong enough. And I don't know about you, but I'm discovering a lot of things that I don't really feel strong enough in right now. But your soft inner guide can lead you to faith and assurance in the middle of these types of fearful emotional moments. You know, when I'm talking to different community members on the phone, the topic of fear and anxiety is a thread that kind of runs through our conversations. Our emotions are just right underneath the surface, pushing up into expression sometimes without much advance notice, or maybe that's just what's happening for me. But suddenly we can experience a wave of fear or anxiety or uncertainty when we see the new numbers come out or a news flash or something happen that you know, something or someone fades away in our experience. And these emotional reactions are very, very normal. But if we can allow our feminine energy to hold those emotions lightly and lovingly, the emotions do not have to take over our sanity. And right now, we are being called into sacred space in our homes. Our divine feminine craves sacred space. So I invite you to lean into that opportunity that we're all having. Find some inspirational music that opens your heart. Light candles, pray, meditate. Just nurture your soul while you have this unique opportunity to do that. You know, in class on Wednesday, we were sharing our newly discovered blessings with each other. We kind of brought up the subject, what 3 new blessings are you aware of because of this situation? And several people shared in this new situation, there arises a new appreciation for quiet. Time to pray and read and journal and be in the moment. You know, there's no place to go. We're not hurrying off to go anywhere. So if we can allow ourselves to relax into the restrictions of movement, we can find that soft place in our homes that we used to crave crawling into, but we were just so busy, we had to run somewhere else. So it's time for sacred space, and our divine feminine energy loves that. But most importantly, this time is a call for our divine feminine understanding of oneness. Oneness is the seminal truth of spirituality. And this COVID-19 situation is the greatest call to oneness that we as a human race have ever known. You know, I was listening to Carolyn Mace this week, and her message rang so true to me. She pointed out that there has never been a global shared experience quite like this one. She pointed out that even in World War II, we did not learn as a human race that we are all one. But this pandemic might just do that very thing. Think about it. Think about it. During World War II, every nation had a different experience of the war. Some places had bombs and troops on the ground, and other places did not have those traumatic impacts. And some countries were burned and devastated by the war, and others saw no immediate damage. So many died, but many places in the world did not have funerals and loss of life like others did. Some religions were targeted and others were not. It was not as universal an experience as we might have thought, especially when we compare it to what is going on today. This is a tremendous example to teach us oneness. All human beings are being impacted by this pandemic. Actually, all beings, both human and animal. The entire Mother Earth and the world of nature is being impacted at this time. You know, we have all been feeling imbalance of our way of living in the world, and we are now all being impacted by this persistent imbalance and a pervasive belief that we are somehow separate from each other. You know, for years and years, there's been a growing number of human beings calling for greater balance between us and the natural world and between us and each other. You know, when I was very young, the very first environmental message I remember was a sign in the Rocky Mountain National Forest that said, "Give a hoot, don't pollute." And there was another one that said, don't be a litter bug. And since then, the messages have grown and grown and grown, and they're everywhere, and they've been growing in number my whole life. And these messages are all cries for oneness in one way or another. What you do impacts me. What we do in our country is impacting people on the other side of the globe. When you use this type of fuel, it ravages the landscape in another part of the world. If you do this or that, this animal species will soon be extinct. You see where I'm going with this? We are being called forth into a sense of mutual responsibility for the life of the planet and the life of the human race. My entire life, I have been crying over burning forests, over famine, over dying wildlife in parts of the world that I'll never see. I've been hugging trees and saving whales, and I've been praying for change and rebalance. And millions of people have been praying for change and a rebalance for decades. Millions of people have been mourning for Mother Earth my entire lifetime. Millions of other people have been crying for unified dignity for every human being, regardless of race or religion or nationality or socioeconomic status or sexual orientation or gender expression or whatever ways we separate people into groups. There have been people crying for us to be one. So very many people have been calling for a sense of oneness, but for so long it has fallen on deaf ears. It's because there have been competing cries being made. Cries for profitability, cries for domination, cries for separation and defensiveness, cries for nationalism, cries for walls and borders, cries for a mentality of us versus them. And here's the deal. We have each had to make a decision of which cries were more important to our souls and our minds and our hearts. And suddenly, in this current situation, we are being asked to make the decision of which cries are more important to our bodies, to our life itself. I believe that this virus is a holy messenger. This coronavirus is teaching us right here and right now the absolute truth of oneness. The virus is showing us blatantly that there are no borders between states or nations or counties for that matter. They are an illusion of separateness that must be healed. The virus is teaching us that the oceans, which are full of plastic, do not separate us. The oceans are an illusion of separation that must be healed. The virus is teaching us that all human bodies are the same, no matter where they live and breathe. The virus is teaching us that one family's tears in Italy taste just as salty as another family's tears in China. The virus is teaching us that a human being's lungs function the same on a respirator in New York City as they do in Paris. The virus is teaching us that if we do not cooperate and consider ourselves as one human race, we will be impacted and life as we know it will change mightily. It already is. The virus is teaching us that all deaths are the same. And quite frankly, it is only in learning about death can we understand that all life is the same. And we resist the lesson of oneness as it relates to death, don't we? We don't learn. History shows us we don't learn. When Jews were dying in the Holocaust, it wasn't my death, so I don't understand it. When there's genocide in Rwanda, that's not my death, I don't understand it. When gay men die of AIDS virus, it's not my death, I don't understand it. I don't relate to it, so I don't care. If it's someone else, it's not me. This is our call. The virus is calling us to the truth that life knows no favorites. The laws of life are impersonal. The laws of the universe are impersonal. The truth of oneness is impersonal. It doesn't matter if you agree with the truth of oneness or not. You will learn it. You will learn it. You can stubbornly refuse to see everyone as just like you, but this virus is teaching us we are one. We are each being called to step into the absolute spiritual truth that we are all one. Energetically and literally, we are interconnected with every other human being on the planet. Fear and anxiety in one part of the world can have a grave impact on another part of the world. love and compassion in a heart across the world can be felt in my heart right here. The internet in general, and social media in particular, is the greatest symbol of the web of life that is fascinating me right now. Remember that I teach, whatever you send out from your hula hoop will always return to you. We are each responsible for our sphere of influence, which I call a hula hoop, and what we send out, we're responsible for that, and what we take in or what we consume, we're responsible for that. The health of your hula hoop is impactful to the entire web of life. What are you sending out right now? What are you consuming right now? What kind of energy are you choosing to swim in? Where did that energy come from? Do you fully understand that what you do in response to this pandemic is felt on the other side of the world? It's felt on the web of life. This is a call to oneness greater than I have ever seen. We must care about what is happening in the lives of our own home and in the homes of our neighbors, but also our greater community, our nation, our continent, and our world. We are one human family, and we are in this together. So what do we do, Laine? What do we do? How do I keep my fears under control and make a difference? You know, because I'm a minister, I'm always going to insist that you pray every day. You know, connect with your higher power, whatever you call it, but pray every day. Pray without ceasing, meaning keep yourself in prayerful consciousness always. Every time you are asked for your opinion or your input, ensure that you are considering the highest possibility of lovingness in your response. Staying prayerful is helpful with that. Manage the information you're consuming. Understand that what you most need to know is what's happening in your community around you. But again, remember that your choices of behavior are going to have an impact in a wider and wider ripple effect. Ask for support. Ask for support. If you can't handle the emotional and spiritual considerations of your situation, reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to a practitioner or a friend, someone who can help you manage your fears and comfort you. The spiritual truth is that God is a part of every detail of everything. The divine intelligence in everything is calling forth balance and order and love and connection. You are having the right and perfect experience for your life right now. That must always be the case because that is spiritual truth. Look around you and see what is working in your life, in your home, in your relationships, in your circumstances. Look at what is supporting you and lean into that. We've got to allow our lives to change. And we must allow our world to change to a level of oneness that we've never seen before. Please let's let this virus be our messenger. We must challenge ourselves to allow our economy to shift in support of sustaining Mother Earth and honoring life as it shows up in all forms. We must allow our attachments to material gain to loosen its grip on us and our strivings and lean into more intangible ways of valuing ourselves and others. In preparing for my talks, I try to read a lot and explore wisdom that I find, and this week was no exception. In closing, I want to share some of the wisdom that I read from Bill Gates this week, and I'll paraphrase what he said. It was a long thing, but you can go online and read the message in its entirety, and it may be filmed as well. But he too sees a spiritual purpose behind this virus. And many of you likely read what he said, but just in case, I want to share some of what he says COVID-19 is doing to us. Here is what COVID-19 is doing. It is reminding us that we are all equal. It is reminding us that we are all connected and that all borders are false. It is reminding us of how precious our health is and that we have been neglecting our health. It is reminding us of the shortness of life, and the purpose of our short life is to help others. It is reminding us how materialistic our society has become. It is reminding us how important our family and home life is. It is reminding us that our true work is not our job, but to look after each other and to protect each other. It is reminding us to keep our egos in check because a virus can bring our world to a standstill. It is reminding us that the power of free will is in our hands. We get to choose how we behave. It is reminding us that we can be patient or we can panic. The type of situation has happened before, and this will pass. It is reminding us that this can either be an end or a new beginning. Are we going to learn from our mistakes and learn the lesson we are meant to learn? It is reminding us that this earth is sick, and we are sick because our home is sick. It is reminding us that life is cyclical, and this is a phase and a great cycle. We may see this virus as a great disaster, but I prefer to see it as a great corrector. It is up to us if we will learn these lessons or not. Bill Gates. So I invite you to join me, and let's come together as a spiritual community to learn the lessons at hand in unison, in unity, in oneness. We're here to remind each other of all the lessons that are available in this moment and in every moment, and to remind each other that this too shall pass, but love will always prevail. As you sit in your home practicing social distancing, I invite you to pray with me this morning. If you are comfortable, just close your eyes right now, right where you are, and feel into the center of your being. God is there. It always is, and it always has been there, breathing and living in as and through each and every one hearing my voice, and each and every one on the planet. God is the source of all life. So God is the source of this life. The intelligence of every situation is God. The love of every relationship is God. The solution to every problem is God. The strength of my soul is God. God is, I am. I know that I have the power to choose in every moment, and in this moment I choose God. I choose love. I choose peace. I choose faith. I choose recognizing the oneness calling me forth in this moment of choice. I breathe that in. I am one. I am one with the entire planet. I am one with my neighbor. I am one with every human being in the world. And so I know for this one human being in the world, love, security, stability, peace, health, wholeness, healing. For it is all in God, and it is all possible. And I know a greater wisdom for each and every one hearing this prayer, that whatever is happening in their life is for them. Is for their awakening, their evolving, their growing and learning and healing towards greater love, towards greater oneness. And I call forth an alignment with that in our experiences this morning. And I take a deep breath of gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you for my home. Thank you for my place to rest. Thank you for those around me and those not around me that I love and I care for. Thank you for this morning, this pause in my day to remember the God in me and the God in everyone else. And it is with that heart of gratitude, that overflowing cup of thankfulness, that I relax and I surrender this moment to God. I surrender this day to Spirit. I surrender this entire experience I'm having to divine intelligence, and I know that all is good and all is well. And I know that this is the truth and can be the experience of each and every one hearing this prayer. To the degree they align themselves with it, it is theirs to have. And so I invite each and every one of us to say with me together, and so it is. Amen. Oneness. Thank you so much for being a part of our experience here in Tampa this morning. I wish you were here. It's a beautiful day outside. It's going to be nice and warm here. And whether you're a part of our CSL TV family, that I miss so much and are waiting to come back together here in this building, or you're finding us virtually this morning, I really do thank you for joining us. I do also invite you each to consider making a donation to our center. You know, if you're a regular pledging member, I want to express deep gratitude for you going the extra mile to make sure that your donations have gone through, even though we aren't having an offering basket or whatever. Many of you have switched to giving electronically or texting your gift in. Some of you are mailing things to the post office box, and we thank you for that too. Whatever method you're using, thank you. Thank you. I fully expect the month of April to continue in abundance until we can gather together and get us back into having more options of giving our time, talent, and treasure to this community. So I do have a couple of further announcements if you want to stay for those. I do want to remind you that Wednesday night we do a Zoom gathering, and we'll do it again this week. Last week we had 17 people online. It was so fun. The link is in the newsletter, and I saw some buzzing on Facebook that some people have fallen off the newsletter receiving in your mailbox. And just so you know, our database automatically removes you from that mailing list if you don't open the newsletter 3 times in a row. It's always available on Facebook, but if you want it in your email again, email info@csltampabay.org, and Lori's shaking her head. She will add you back onto that, and we won't fuss at you for not opening it. But you got to open it if you want to keep receiving it, because we don't want to bug you if you don't want it. But at any rate, the Zoom link is in that newsletter. And Zoom can accommodate up to 100 people. So the more the merrier. Invite other people to come in and join, and we'll talk more about the lesson that we did this morning. I also want to thank you for all your interaction on the members only page on Facebook. I didn't post a song yesterday. I kind of took a day off, but I took a little break yesterday. But let's continue connecting on the members only Facebook page. I do have an interesting question to pose there later today or tomorrow when I get it on there about how we decide who joins that page. So I'll pose that question, and I do want to hear your thoughts. And let me know what you think about that topic. And we actually may have an official vote on that at the members meeting whenever we get to have it, because we're getting requests from those of you virtually out there in the world that we don't know here in Tampa, and we kind of use that page in a special way. So at any rate, I'll pose the question to all of us. I don't want to make that decision unilaterally. I also want to remind you to mark your calendar for Easter Sunday, April 12th. Okay, so despite ideas that we might be back together on Easter, yeah, that's not going to happen. So after my message Easter morning on April 12th, the board and I are going to host a virtual Easter Bonnet Bunny brunch at 11:30. We'll have a Zoom link for that. It's already been published if you haven't. But have your food prepared. Gather any Easter decorations you may have in front of your camera, or between now and then, create something fun. You've got time to do that. And let's see if we can make Easter feel like the community event that it should be and that we all enjoy. It's supposed to be. And there will be special shout outs to anyone who wears an Easter bonnet of any sort. Get creative if you want. It should be fun. And also I wanted to tell you, if I haven't talked to you by phone yet, please know that I'm finishing up my personal phone calls to all the members. I'll get those done next week. And if you forgot to submit your membership form in the month of April, and you really do want to be on the members list, also send an email to info@csltampabay.org or through the website, or somehow message us, and we will make sure you get a form by mail and get you on the list. I'm happy to call anyone if you want to talk. But at any rate, we've pushed the pause button on so many of our activities. But please know with me that the momentum that we were feeling as we had to take this pandemic break, that momentum will be waiting for us, and we are going to be blessed to be together again very soon. And the love that we feel for each other is so strong, and Spirit sustains us. We are one. You are loved and cherished. I will see you soon. Namaste. Have a blessed day. Bye.